Hi guys, my name is Mark Angwenyi, and today we have a chat about matters hockey. With me, I have Simon Mwangi, Gilly, the only lady in the chat room, and Barry. Everybody knows Barry. So no need for introduction for Barry. I'll let them say hi, and then we get on with the chats.
Hi.
Hi guys.
Hi guys, it's Barry over here.
Okay, so the topics of today are how guys are handling Corona and the impact it has on us as a society, as a community, as a country, and as hockey players. And what are we doing differently since the Corona started, the lockdown and everything. So that's just it.
So Nani
Someone
anaanza, who's starting? Let's start with the lady.
Ladies first.
Yeah, ladies first.
So I think it's really affected a lot of people. One, we are not our norms. Training is not there anymore. You have to train by yourself. You're not supposed to crowd. You can't have matches. You can't do friendlies. You can't catch up with most of your friends because of the lockdown and everything. So I think it's really, really hard for a lot of people, mostly those people who have their families scattered all over. You know, you're in Nairobi, your family is far away. And also you're losing touch with your teammates. You don't know who's undergoing what at a particular time because you're not in touch anymore. You don't meet and interact and do a lot of things that you used to do. So a lot of people pretend they're training and they're not, including Barry, which I don't know if he's training. I'm kidding. Yeah, people don't have the time to train because it's difficult. They don't have the motivation to train. You know, for training, you have to be motivated. Me today I'm not training, and no one will push me. But when you're training like many people, tunasukumana, naulizana, leo nakuja tizi, then all of you just feel motivated to go for training. So yeah, that's for me.
Yeah, I agree with you. Things have totally changed, but myself, I've been working from home. Other than, of course, having the HockeyKE shows, I do work from home. My day job, that is. I work in a school, so we've been trying to make sure at least lessons keep going on. In terms of training, of course, it's a bit different. You know, training alone while you're at home, it's a bit difficult, and you really need to have a lot of motivation to train on your own. I've been trying. I wouldn't say I've been training frequently, but I've been trying my best at least do something. It's difficult. And of course, trying to keep in touch with matters hockey as well as my friends, my colleagues. Yeah, so it's I think the word new normal is now appropriate to use. So I wish we could be in a position at least even to go somewhere and have, even if it's a kickabout or something like that, just to get out of home and
the house.
Yeah. So it's difficult, especially if you're used to going to City Park every weekend to watch matches. At least now we have at least some football coming back on telly, so at least it's giving
the
up
Bundesliga,
and hopefully next weekend we'll have La Liga. So at least it's giving you something different to watch, because I think we've watched almost all hockey videos or football videos on YouTube.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, for me on a personal level, I haven't been training as much. This, you know, mob psychology really helps the team spirit.
Well, you are honest. That I can give you.
Yeah.
I've gained some weight. And it's not a good thing for a sportsman to gain weight. Cutting off that weight is going to take a lot of training. But I think people will enjoy training when it gets back on. because
right.
there's been a gap between when we last trained, when we first had our matches, and now when we resuming things back to normal. So I think guys are geared up for training, but there's no, what can I say? The team spirit has been hurt with this keeping apart thing, the quarantine and the social distancing, especially for sports people like us. So, but apart from that, I think the Corona, this pandemic thing, it's really given us some time to think about ourselves and our lives. I've seen people saying that if you haven't learned a new skill during this time, you are not focused in life. So self-assessment has become a very key word during this time, self-assessment. So after this, people really know themselves. You've seen a side of people that you never seen before, spending too much time with family or friends. We don't have a pet to vent out on.
Us who don't live with family, and we are not introverts.
Oh,
live with what?
Come out so extremely different. I think when I come out, I'll shout to the whole world because I've missed talking.
You're always shouting. You're always shouting. We're used to you. There's nothing new you're telling us that you'll be shouting. Barry says
I'm not shouting, so I'll shout more and talk more. Because being alone all this time, it's like now I'm being an introvert, you don't have that need to interact with people, the opportunity to interact and talk and just shout and have fun, So when you come out, it will be like something completely new. It's like when a kid's starting to walk. Like, she just wants everything.
In short, Gilly anasema ataenda happy.
Clubbing.
Happy tu anataka. Happy nyingi sana.
Yeah.
Hata Friday itakuwa Gilly's day.
True.
Tutakuwa tunaona tu selfies.
Yeah.
Barry, what about you?
Okay. What about me? I want to do it first. My mates I've just said. Personally, Corona has affected each and every individual in different ways. But how am I coping up with it? I've got to learn some new skills. I train. I do football. I have a ball at my house, so I do juggling with the ball. Yeah, I've broken a few windows here and there, but hopefully they'll be repaired.
You did break the
Corona
TV.
has really affected our lives.
Well,
Yeah.
you also need to tell your landlord to install grids on your windows.
They say when you're indoors, you train with a tennis ball, not a hockey ball.
So yeah, we are
Yeah.
the hockey ball. Yeah, so we hope this Corona, for the COVID-19 to end soon. We hope
Maybe they'll lift the lockdown. Let's wait till June 6th.
Yeah, but well, it's the president, from his speech, it's like he hinted after June 6th, everything will go back to normal. So I was having a conversation with Barry today, and I was telling him I don't see, if everything doesn't go to normal, let's say by August, I don't see the league resuming. I think it will be called off till next year. Yeah, so.
Or there'll be too little time for us to complete the league.
Yeah, unless we decide to go the 2-year way, basically have a 2020/21 league. We've not seen that in a while. We've always seen Kenya Hockey Union prefer having the league run in some sort of a calendar year instead of in a split calendar year. So anyway, what do you guys think? Do you think that if, let's say, we go back to normal by August, the league will resume, or
They'll have to come up with a new plan.
Yeah, because there'll be little
Maybe.
time for the league to get completed.
Furthermore, the teams are so many.
A single leg.
And you know, Makiu, when they say, okay, now everything has come back to normal. How many people do you think would be fit to play the next week?
Very few.
Those
Very
that
few.
did train. Those that did
Well,
train
I
during
can tell you who will be
period.
fit. Pascal will be fit.
But
Yeah.
even if you're fit now, you know the jogging and everything, you're not games.
Mm.
You know, games is another thing, and fitness is another thing. Because
Much fitness. There's fitness and much fitness.
Much fitness.
Much fitness is different from the fitness of jogging in the morning.
If they say we'll need like 3 weeks to train as a team,
3 weeks is a whole month.
Doing away with another month.
I know people will need a year. I'm just kidding again.
Yeah, I agree.
I think my take. I think the league. I think somehow they'll have to compress the fixtures in some way so that they can accommodate all the matches. Yeah, that's my take.
Maybe they'll break it into pools and then clash with the top 4, 2 from each pool.
Yeah, maybe. Or maybe
it will be easy,
yeah, or maybe you can do
Simon, you tell us, you're the one who does statistics. Which will be easier.
I think when I was also talking to Barry and telling him this, I think when it comes to logistics, it might be difficult. At this point, I wouldn't want to be Jen or Majiwa because making that decision, it's not easy. Consider this, most guys have not been making money since the lockdown was announced. So you can imagine, for example, now asking a team like MSC and Mvita from Mombasa to be making trips to Nairobi for fixtures. Or the other way around, or asking teams
to go to Mombasa.
And as you said, you try to congest the fixtures so that at least by December it will be done. It's tricky. All of us play for clubs. At least Gilly is an institution. She will tell you how long it takes just to get funding for a trip. You guys play for Zalendo. You also know how difficult it is.
Hard it is to come up with funds.
So it's a tricky one. Even if they decide to split into groups, now how are they going to split into groups such that they make sure that teams don't spend a lot? For example, Western Jaguars. Where do you place Western Jaguars?
Yeah, it's going to be tough.
Yeah, it's a tough one.
That's
so
a hard one.
For National League, it was already divided in such a way that teams don't spend a lot. But for Super League and Premier League, both men and women, it's tricky. So, in my opinion, if I was asked, I'll just hold off the league until next year, in my opinion, so that at least we allow things to settle down, people to go back to business and stuff. Yeah, because we know hockey, most of us is self-funding. And if you approach an organization to fund you, they'll tell you we've been making losses. Now it's time for us to recover. So in my opinion, I think it's just easier to talk to everyone, tell them, guys, sorry, this year it was just messed up.
Maybe they do 2 tournaments.
Or tournaments can work. Yeah. I hope if everything goes well, we can still have the Mombasa one because it's usually in October. And the Kisumu one is usually in December. So probably we try to have those tournaments be bigger than and even Nairobi, we can organize one tournament.
But okay, my opinion is maybe they'll have 2 midweek games. That makes 2 midweek games. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense, but
it may, but
there's 2 matches, you know.
Yeah. Okay, it can happen. Remember, there is a time a game was played on I think it was on a Friday at 5, and then the other one was played at 7 last season.
It's very possible.
Yeah, it's possible. It's especially for universities. Universities can play even at 4 p.m. In the midweek. But as I said, right now you've seen even universities, they don't have money. So how are they going to fund their teams to play? So
Yeah.
it's logistically it's I won't say it's impossible, but it's improbable.
So you say you just do the tournaments for the rest of all the weekends, maybe until
Well,
Corona period is over.
remember that even as much as we think things will go normal, it might not go the usual normal. As I said, it's the new normal. So, for example, you've seen even in Germany, we watched a game with you, and you saw how they were being treated. Like, for example, in the dugout, you saw that players can't sit together. One has to sit there, and then after 3 sits. So, like in City Park, how are you going to tell substitutes to sit? That's just an example. So, if it's a school bus, how are you going to have players travel to the tournament? Do you release 3 buses to take a team of 40 players? No, those are the logistics I'm talking about.
It's not making physical sense or
So
fiscal.
for example, if we decide to go back to City Park, that means also you need to have a budget to sanitize the whole place whenever it's being used, So those are the logistics I'm talking about.
The league can only get back when Kenya is declared a safe zone.
And okay, I don't think it will necessarily mean that when it's declared it's a safe zone. All I'm saying is, before we get to normal resumption, that's the new normal, a lot of things need to be put in. Yeah, a lot of effort before we can even say, and City Park, we have 4 or 5 matches in a day. So you need to take care of those logistics, because if you have 4 or 5 games in a day, we are talking about an average of 100 people at any one given time in the stadium. Because if one team has 18 players, that's one match has 36 players. So which means at any one time, let's say it's a game at 2 and another one at 4, you'll have, let's say, 100 people at City Park. One team is playing, the other one is waiting. So how do you handle such logistics? And you've seen part of social distancing is having few people at a place.
Around you.
Yeah, like the other day you had them saying you can only have 10 people in a supermarket at any one given time. Yeah, so logistically, to me, as I said, I wouldn't want to be KHU officials at that particular time.
Maybe the government will make it easy for them and say that no sporting events will go on.
Yeah.
Yeah, but for everything to go on, also it means even us as people, as players who want to play, then it means we have to take really good care of ourselves. We have to do everything that is right at this particular time so that we reunite together. It will be so painful and so bad. We expect to get back when everything gets normal, but the number that gets back, you knew that you wanted to get back with, are no more. So I think it's also important for us to remember to always keep safe, do the things that will get you off this deadly virus, and just let's hope for the best as we are doing that, because that's all we can do.
I have a question. Is contracting corona riskier than playing hockey?
Come on, Mark. Now, what sort of a question is that?
Contracting corona.
Yeah.
Okay, let's
getting infected.
Yeah, volunteer to that. They find the cure with you. Let's see if you can do it. If now you're told, Mark, you're told, go and play hockey, I'm sure you can run for and play hockey. But if you're told, go and get the virus, you can't even leave your damn job.
Yeah. Basically, it's like a death sentence. You are gambling with life.
Yeah.
I had to ask that out of curiosity. So people have love for the game.
What's your pick
Yeah.
personally? What's your pick?
I think the risk is almost equal. It's a flat line. It's a flat line.
I fear corona more than hockey.
Well, one thing I can tell you is we've seen people play hockey without mouth guards and shin guards and leave the game without any injuries. But now let me ask, can you go to a corona infested zone without a face mask and gloves and expect to come out without the virus?
There's no way.
So how is it a flat line, or how are they the same? So anyway.
Okay, that's a redundant question.
Barry is all quiet. I think he thinks differently about all this.
Let's tell us something.
I love hockey, so I must play hockey. No, me. Okay, according to me, okay, I'll mind the safety measures that are in place, but can't play with the masks. But I'll have to sanitize, do all the other stuff. But hockey is hockey, so hockey must play hockey. Yeah.
I mean, what's really like bothered me about the rules is that when you score a goal, we normally and celebrate. Kwanzaa, if it's that icebreaker, you've really worked hard for that one goal and then you score and everyone wants to come jump on you, celebrate with you. No, distance.
Now you're contemplating what introverts think about it.
Introverts and germophobes. Yeah.
I think I bought the first days and then I got used to it and now I'm used. So.
Yeah. Okay. I think personally, I think it might be difficult for players as well to keep safe. Reason being, know that our setup is not as professional. So, for example, if you follow what's happening for football at the moment, players are being booked hotels, and they are being booked hotels. They don't go back home. So each player is staying in their own hotel room. They don't share a room. If it's a team bus, they don't sit in the same seat together. So they are closed off from public interactions. But now for us, for example, where I live, I have to take a matatu, public transport to my place. Most players use public transport. So how are they going to be isolated from other people who may be affected? So you see, as I said, there are a lot of logistical problems that need to be addressed. Because the last thing we want is the matches to be a red zone for infections. Because remember, if only one player is tests positive, then everyone in the stadium is at risk of being infected. Yeah. So so I might be safe, but I might contract it while going home or going to City Park. So unless we come up with measures where, for example, the club or myself, I can afford public means from my place straight to the stadium, then it's difficult. I'm not being pessimistic. I'm just trying to be realistic.
I have a question.
Yeah.
I have a question. So what happens to the players that have the virus? So are they not allowed to play, or what happens? And what if the players are
to have recovered from the virus before getting to play? If you have the virus, you go into forced quarantine.
Yeah.
Without question.
Yeah.
Like
so I'll support Simon Mwangi by saying maybe the league has to be called off, since we won't be competing fairly, because maybe in my team we have like 5 players who are infected with the virus, sorry. And another team, nobody is infected. When we play against each other, it's obvious that this team will.
Your opponents have an advantage.
Exactly. But so let me ask you, Barry. Let me ask you, what happens if you say 5 players in your team have tested positive, and you are training with these guys? So does it mean that the rest of the team is not at risk of being
Yeah.
positive. So
It is.
you see.
Yeah. It is at risk.
So what decision do you make if let's say 2 players in a team test positive and you've been training together, let's say for a week? Then what happens? Do we say the whole team goes under observation?
Yes, I think there was a case. I'm not a fan of it, but there was this case before everything was called up, the soccer thing. There was this team that I don't know, the manager was the one who had corona, and their match was called off.
Arsenal.
Yeah.
Arsenal fans.
They're allowed to interact with other people because they don't know who's safe and who's not.
They have
But
to be tested.
If you take a look at where the sporting events are resuming, they had a very high testing capacity. So they're sure that they've tested everyone. Maybe if there's a second phase of infection, there are guys who will be known to have recovered from the corona, so they won't need testing again.
Mm-hmm.
And there are guys who would have been infected and haven't recovered fully. So there's a lot at play with getting back to sporting events, especially sporting events, and how to the guidelines on how to get back into sporting events. You'll have to copy those who have already started with that trend to try and emulate them, do what they're doing. But sporting events might take a backseat for now.
Yeah, because you see, like those countries, it's the government's decision, because also the government is the one that is funding testing. We all know the testing of the COVID-19 is not cheap. It's expensive.
Yeah.
So now when you say sporting events in Kenya are coming back, and you've seen this, the government is also struggling to implement mass testing. So who funds the testing of players and then coaches and all the officials? So once again, those are questions that in terms of logistics, you have to ask yourself. You can't just say the league will resume blindly
and then
without thinking about also, such things.
There's the issue of testing once doesn't assure you free of infection.
Yeah.
They have to do testing more than once, more than twice.
Go home, I get my family member who just got the virus. And then when I come back next week, I also have it. So being tested doesn't mean I'm safe. Now I won't be tested anymore. I won't get it.
Yeah. Yeah, true. I think
actually it's hard because there are a lot of measures that have to be put in place before these decisions are made. Because before people could play, you have to find the safest way that they can play without getting infected. And that means investment, money.
The other risk is
randomly people will have to be treated differently, and we are so many. There are so many teams. So
remember we have over 50 teams now. So
with 18 players, also
more than
600 players.
Because there are clubs who have, like Wazalendo. How many players does Wazalendo have?
Close to over 100.
100, yeah.
Members, players are close to 60.
So let's say even if the government or the union says that clubs will have to do their own testing. How will such a club like Wazalendo fund? As I said, it's tricky because right now most guys we are barely making a living. It's our economy. It's how we are. So let's say if a test costs, let me just give a rough figure of 4,000 shillings. You have 100 players. How are you going to afford 400,000 shillings for one test? And you've said that
that's a lot.
Yeah, that's a lot. And you've said you can't test only once. You have to test every week.
Yeah,
that's a whole year's budget for a team.
Yeah, for a team. You see, so it's
so in short,
to be honest, we've been hard hit by this virus. It's basically, as Gilly said, let's be careful. And let's see how it goes. We also help the union to make their decisions easy. Yeah, we also help them. Because remember, even if we said we are resuming, I'm sure there are clubs who did not even complete paying for their registrations and transfers. Because remember, the league had only kicked off. I think only 2 game weeks or 3 game weeks had been played.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So it has to keep ourselves safe.
The Premier League, no matches were played. Premier League men.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so yeah.
Mm-hmm. At least I play.
The Corona is a reset button.
Yeah.
So we're down to the tournament kind of thing.
And still for the tournament, it's still the same. So as I said, tournament is a better idea if we want to continue playing competitively, but we'll still face the same problems.
But it's for budget-wise, it will be easier to hold like 2 tournaments instead of a whole league that runs through to the next year. From my opinion.
But remember, Mark, as I said, it's still the same logistical issue. Yeah, because even if you're having a tournament for 2 days, then it means prior that tournament, all players, all registered teams and players have to be tested, let's say 2 weeks or 3 weeks consecutively before the tournament date, so that someone who, let's say, turns out positive the final week doesn't come and infect everyone at the tournament venue. So, fine. We saw those guidelines released by FIH, but as we were talking, Barry, I said that's not enough. It's not enough. Yeah. To me, it's not enough, because to them, probably to European countries, they can do it because there's all that funding, there's resources, people can afford to have private transport, and the testing is supported by the government. But now in Kenya, it's a whole different ballgame.
Yeah. I think sports is not a priority.
Yeah, it's not a priority.
Sports is not a priority.
Yeah.
So.
Because you've seen there are not even plans to, we haven't had any concrete plans to have the schools, the candidates. We don't know whether they will have exams or not. So if education, a key factor like education is not being addressed, then sports,
I think the thing of sports event getting back and on track is very premature at this moment.
Yeah, it is. But it's a good discussion to have either way. Because I've seen now some groups are gathering and starting to train on a pitch.
Yeah. I miss hockey. I genuinely miss hockey.
I miss training. I miss training.
Really, when will I play again?
When will you score again?
After Corona.
And the painful bit is I have a new kit that I really planned using, and now I don't know. Ata itapotea. I don't know when I'll use it.
Well, you can start dribbling in your house.
Yeah, I will.
Or on your balcony. So
now that's the disadvantage of not having neighbors who are hockey players. Because what I mean in a group and play with maybe one or two people.
True.
But it's okay.
Yeah, it's fine. It's what we do. So and it's also a good thing. We saw on HockeyKE, some players are keeping fit. So it's good, at least we are seeing, and some of us also are keeping fit. So it's good to see that the players are still keeping fit and healthy and ready to go in case league resumes.
The likes of Boca. I believe this man is the fittest person. Fittest hockey player. This man runs. Yeah, Boca, Jairus.
Yeah, probably we need to have him.
That is his usual routine.
Yeah, we need to have him in one of these group chats so that he motivates other people like Mark and myself to keep fit.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
What is the next question? Next question, Mark.
Hello, Mark. I think you're muted. We can't hear you. Hello, Mark. We can't hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, now we can hear you.
Okay, the
Yeah.
mic had gone to mute. Okay, I'm saying for Boca, that is his usual routine.
Yeah.
It's not anything new. You to keep up with that type of, the motivation for that is not something you span out of in one day and start running. It's been it's a thing he's been doing for a while. I'm also saying that there are no other questions. We've tackled all the questions that, especially that pertain to hockey.
Yeah.
So it's been a good discussion. It's taken longer than usual, or longer than expected, not longer than usual, longer than expected. Yeah. But it's good to keep on.
It's because it's something we all missed, and everyone just got carried away talking of how really want things to go back to normal.
People want to talk to strangers. We really miss strangers, you know. Yes, you want to talk to someone so that you can get their opinion.
Yeah.
You used to the same opinion every other day. Even when you watch the news, the same thing every other day. But on the ground, things are different.
True.
If you get someone else's opinion, you start to follow people who are like-minded to you.
Yeah.
And those who are not, you can tell the difference.
Yeah. So thank you, Mark, for hosting us. Remember, guys, we will be having these group chats every week, different topic. So we just meet, have a chat about topics. Probably invite a few players or coaches here and there just to have a discussion about matters hockey. Yeah. Yeah. So Mark, thank you for hosting me on your group chat.
Thank you for coming. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for showing up.
Yeah.
The first time hosting anything online, so you'll have to forgive me if we went astray.
Also remember we have shows every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So next
tune in to HockeyKE. Follow us on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram for your latest hockey updates.
Thank you, Mark, for your chat.
You're welcome.
I really feel relieved because at least today I've talked about hockey. So
bring more ladies next time.
Yeah,
probably you have the other ladies in the group just come in. We have an all ladies edition. So,
okay, maybe that should be the first shot.
That solves everything with Mark still being our host.
No.
You'll be the host.
for the first time, Mark is being preferred other than Barry.
Barry.
Yeah.
Two bloods. We are Barry, by the way. Barry holds all our meetings, so I face wool in hearts.
Okay.
On top of the other ladies, I think they will also prefer
Mark.
Mark, you can't compete
yes.
me.
Compare.
Sure.
Barry.
Yes.
What's the next one? I think Samo, you can stop recording now.
Okay, guys. Remember, you can always subscribe to HockeyKE for this video. Until next time, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.